Hello everyone, so we're finally doing the breatharian update. But before I will go into that, I would like to address a few things which I've noticed reading your comments. By the way, thank you for the feedback. I will start with one thing that caught my attention. It was basically the only comment that was less than positive, I would say, at least the energy of the comment. Somebody referring to my weight and that I look too skinny or I'm not normal or whatever. My entire life I've been somebody who's thin and actually athletic. I'm athletic, and sports has been always part of my life. Tennis, running tracks and skating and whatever. But that's my frame, that's my natural build. Going through a process like this, you expect, you have to understand that your body will go through certain changes, and you have to allow that, and you have to have patience, and that shouldn't worry you. But that's basically how I look my entire life. So if I were before, I know when I started the process much thinner, yeah, of course that was part of the process, but now it's a different story. Basically that's my weight. That's how I've been mostly for the most of my life. And yes, anyways, going to the second thing that I want to say is that you have to understand that this process is not something to do to stop eating or stop drinking or something like this, and then to say is like at some point, oh, I give up on this. This process, this thing came into my life basically 12 or 13 years ago, when I was actually thinking to doing this as part of my spiritual journey, my journey to freedom. Because most people don't understand that the spiritual journey in the end is a journey to freedom. You are not free. None of us are really free unless we actually become fully that thing that was the original design, which was thought for this race and this type of beings that we are. This process is part of that. And the not eating and the not drinking part is, how should I say, it's a product of that, but you should not focus on that. So going back to what happened in the last 3 months, well, the first thing that I can say is that it's been really intense. I don't know where you live in the world, but where I am right now in New Jersey, USA, the weather has been really insane. I mean, from having in the morning storms, torrential rains, then some sun, and then again cloudy, and then again storm, and then more sun, and then all of a sudden you have snow, and repeat that a few times, and then some like peaceful, somehow constant thing, and then again that. That actually showed us what's going on right now in the world, which is basically this massive rift, this massive split, and two opposing forces going each in different direction. One that is trying to manipulate the last drops of this, how should I say, they're trying to get as much energy as they can before they can't anymore. And the other side, which is the ascension part, and where we all are transforming and we're finally coming into our power, they are stabilizing the situation. But that's one aspect, but it's a major one because it impacts how we feel, how we think, how we act, especially now when we're in this like very sensitive, we're in the terrain, it's still very not stable. Plus going through this process, because I can no longer say that this is just the breatharian process and I'm following the what's happening, the consequences of that alone. No, it's all combined. Maybe I should have actually changed the title to Ascension Breatharian Transition thing, which would have made more sense. But for the sake of documentation, of like documenting this thing, I just said that. So I would say that these past the first 2 months have been really tough, in the sense that these changes, this weather changes, this things in the planetary field have affected me very strongly, and have created massive disorder in my life, in the sense that I had a hard time to focus on certain things, but by keep going and keep continuing with my dry mode, because the dry mode is by the way, that didn't change. It's still 3-4 days a week or more. Dry mode, meaning no food, no drinking, no nothing. But going through this planetary changes, plus the internal ones, that this shifting of clearing emotional garbage, mental things, limitation, program, etc. When you have these two layers working at the same time, sometimes you get really busy, and it's just, you just lose focus completely, and you just need to, I don't know, take a break, do something else, because you are unable to focus. For that reason, I found myself in a situation where I would like take a break, in the sense like I would drink water or tea or something like that, instead of actually having, let's say, 3 days in a row non-stop, as in like to give me like a little grounding, like to serve as grounding, and to just to take all this like fuzzy, dizzy thing in my head, to just allow me a little bit of time to focus, to do my work. Not because I needed it, not because I was thirsty, it's just like to quiet the mind, quiet this sensation that was like, I'm like this. But these periods are not like permanent. They're just, they can be, but they're very intense. They were, now it is better, of course, but they were like, could be like a week, really a week, where you would just like, how am I going to do this? And somehow, if I would find a way, I would either stay like 1.5 days like dry, and then I'll have something, and then again 1 day, 1.5 days nothing, and then I'll have something, tea, honey, whatever, and then maybe something to eat, and then again 1.5 days or 2 days nothing, something to eat, and then something like this, is like in shorter episodes, but still kept my 3-4 days or more the dry mode. That never changed. By doing this, by keep doing this, the internal transformation, I would say, I would call this phase a really deep alchemic transmutation phase. I would say that would be probably the most how should I say, the best name that I could come up for this phase, because on the outside you don't see much, as in like, okay, I'm still at this level, I can do the 3-4 days, this didn't change, but then you notice that you change, that your mind changes, that how you feel changes, like gradually, and then you reach certain threshold, and then it becomes evident as like, oh my god, I reached another level, and my perception has changed once again. And this actually, I felt like this type of leaps, the shift would happen sometimes daily, sometimes weekly, but as in like, there were like, you would feel more different at some point, is like when you would reach a certain clearing, and then your energy would grow, and then you feel that something has changed in you. By the way, I'm not giving you all the how should I say, out there details, because there are too many, and I'm not sure if everyone's ready to actually accept what I have to say. But that's why I write books now, to just put those things in there. But I will share some of those things when the time comes, or if I feel that it helps people to do that. But for the sake of, say, documenting this process, I will try to be as objective as I can. So you feel that you are transforming, not just you are transforming from inside. Your body is becoming something else. Your body no longer responds to the same rules when you eat, when you drink. By the way, this also has started to change. It didn't affect me anymore as like before, when I would still eat certain things. And I feel that, because when you eat, this is an access, these elements that belong to this reality. They are access point in your energetic system for this distortion to attach to you, to manipulate you, to implant all sorts of little programs and all sorts of little things that they mess up with your mind and with your clarity and your decision making and stuff like that. And what I've noticed is that this doesn't affect me that much anymore, and I feel this internally. And but then again, by being on dry mode, I feel that, as I said, my natural weight has come back to what it was, and it's stable. But also I feel lighter. It's not just like I have the same weight, I feel stable, but then again I feel, I don't know how to say this without sounding weird, but I feel soft, fluffy inside. I would put this like in a color, it would be like a light pink, which is very light and, I don't know, pure and very nice. I don't know how to explain that. Yeah, this is soft, fluffy. That's how I feel inside, especially when I am in dry mode. But also when I'm not in the dry mode, I feel that this is another layer around me that's been activated and is creating this general feeling. And this has happened in the last month, I would say. This upgrade, it's a massive upgrade that happened, where basically I shifted into another level of understanding, and you'll understand this by watching the previous video. It's called God Mind. I have more insight. As I said, I'm somebody who is visual, and I work with patterns, designs and stuff like that, and a lot of things are shown to me in that form, but also creatively. And when I do those creative things, they open inside of me certain knowledge which I write down. It shows me different concepts from the inside. And I think I said that in the last update, but now it's much more deeper, and yeah, it's kind of like more, it's being revealed. But for the first 2 months, I would say that has been like really somehow closed down, in the sense that this battle between these forces and also the internal transformation has been really this chemical war inside and outside, and has been really intense. So those things have slowed down. But getting out of that situation, I see now that I shifted in a higher energy level, and I would say frequency, and now a lot of things come to me, are being revealed more easier, faster, and translates into having a different mind, in a different way, how I see and do things, and how the reality around me changes, because even that changes like completely and radically. So you have to understand that this process is not about stopping to eat or stopping to drink. This is like a consequence of doing that. It's just you allow through this. Okay, I'm just going to do a little parenthesis to understand what I'm saying. When I did the process, although I explained this in the first video that I made about this, before I actually did the process, I was already at a certain level where I was upgrading and things were happening to me, and I have a certain body of knowledge that is not very common, that which I how should I say, I follow and I exercise, and that alone helped me to get to the point where I was before doing the process. But the process was basically, okay, you want freedom, now it's time to do this. So you break the emotional bondage, all this bondage that keep you here locked in this reality and at the mercy of this distortion and stuff like that. So for me, it was always, and it will always be, it's about freedom. It's a journey of personal freedom. I knew that not eating and not drinking would be part of that journey, but I didn't tell myself that I'm not gonna eat or drink after that. I knew that it will come a point where I will just completely, there will not be a need in the sense, a social need, because a physical need is not really, it's just the mind that sometimes feels like, because it wants, at this point for me would be, as I said, sometimes to ground me in the sense that when it gets too crazy, when I feel that the change is working like really intensely and I have to work and I feel like things are getting, well, I'm getting dizzy, not that I'm getting tired, but I feel how I'm just like, I'm spinning really. And I feel that how things work inside me, like really at high velocity. And this kind of like derails me from focusing on what I need to do, on work that I need to do. At that point I was like, okay, I will have something to drink, because that will help. By the way, water also helps to actually get rid of the the waste, the mental waste, emotional waste, while this upgrade happens, because it's a process that keeps going and upgrade you, and the water helps in that sense to remove things, and also to ground you. But other than that, as I said, at this point I don't need to eat, I don't need to drink. When I do that, I do it, as I said, I allow myself to be social around weekend time, but it might happen that during the week, like one time or even 2 times if it's necessary, but like really punctual points, like I hear a cup of tea with a little bit of honey, after a day and a half of dry mode, then dry mode for another day and a half or 2, and then have something like a tea, honey and a fruit, and then again I am dry for another day and a half or 2, whatever. And then if I have, I don't know, guests, or I would like to enjoy, I don't know, personal quality time with my husband or with friends, with family, and when I will prepare food and stuff like that, this is basically for my social and emotional needs in that sense, because otherwise then I will be completely weird. I mean, as I said, I am happy and lucky that I have people around me that understand what I'm going through. Also, my husband is doing this, well, he's doing less, because he's in an environment that he really needs to just not feel that intense background process that is transforming you non-stop, this upgrade that goes in the background. But he himself also does this for at least a day in a week. Sometimes he can do this for 2 days. It happened for him maybe one time in these 3 months that he did 3 days in a week, but he will always do at least a day. But I'm not judging him, and whatever, everyone has their own timeline. This is where I am, so everyone has a different time how to do things. What else I could tell you about the process? Oh yeah, the sleeping patterns. So the sleeping patterns, I would say, have changed. I actually, because of this intense changes, I had to sleep longer for like, I don't know, would mean, which longer means could be 6, 8. It happened one time, maybe 10 hours to sleep. Not because I was tired, but it's because of this massive thing that was happening. And then I would not sleep for 2 days. But also it happens that since this upgrade happened, it's harder for me to be in this reality. I mean, physically, I'm not saying this to just say this. It's like this reality in itself, it's very tiring, and you prefer to be in a different reality. So when I go to sleep, I go into a different reality, and I prefer to stay there longer than to come here and just get annoyed and tired and whatever. But that would be one part of that. But now I see that it's coming back to less sleep again, like, I don't know, 5, 6 hours, 4 hours. I don't know. It's not something that it's like has it's set at a certain time. I mean, like how many hours I need to sleep. But at the moment, it's still very much in this like huge transformation upgrade thing, so it's all kind of a big mess. But as a few highlights would be, as I said, this increased cleanliness that I feel, and softness, and this layer around me and inside me that's been activated, which has changed my perception and is continuing changing my perception of how I see things. How, not that just because before I mean I had this body of knowledge about how things work, how reality, where it's a holographic construct and all the stuff, law of attraction, etc. I don't want to go into that. That's been absorbed, that's been tested, that's been exercised. It's just now it's more than just that, and you see that even that information somehow it's outdated and it's not really correct. So you're learning from the inside and say, this is how it is, and this is a little bit different, and then you learn it from the inside how to do that thing to accomplish a certain thing, situation, whatever. So the shift is profound. It's not just anymore I read stuff in a book and I am working hard to apply it in my life and whatever. No, that's just now inner knowledge, and you have access to it, and you're just learning day by day and upgrade and allow more energy to come in, and it's okay, I get more now and I can do things better and faster with more clarity. It's like, as I said, because there's this moment where there's just like too much and it just derails you from what you're supposed to do, and take a break, just lie down or do something else or whatever, have a cup of tea, and then when the balance is restored, you realize, oh, actually now I can do this faster, much faster actually than I was thinking before. So that's actually one positive thing. I mean, after all this crazy chaotic things that happen, oh, I can do things better and faster. What else I could tell you? I sense more presence when I'm in the room. I feel things around me. As I said, I'm going now into the area where it's a little bit out there for some of you that just are interested only in the process of something, not to eat, not to drink or whatever, because that's just one part, and that's limited, by the way, to think that way. But I see how the behavior of like animals, birds have changed around me, which is kind of weird. Nature in itself, but in a positive way. It's very strange how they react to me when they see me, when I'm around them, because they see beyond this biosuit. They see what's inside, and they're very intelligent. We just don't know how to communicate with them, although I'm kind of learning right now how to do that from the inside. So yeah, that's another thing that is happening. Also, in my photographs, I'll see a lot of like orbs, the things appear, but I see that it's like the good ones. I mean, which I know that they're positive beings and stuff like that. And they're attracted, obviously, of my energy, of my mind, or whatever. I don't know. And maybe they're also interacting in a sense that are trying to communicate with me more. But yeah, I don't want to go into that. For that, as I said, I write books. Maybe I'll tell later, but yeah, so that's another thing. So another thing that is, what else I could tell you about this? Most of the stuff are out there, so no, I'm gonna stop here. I hope this was satisfying, or if not, I'm sorry. That's where I am right now. I am curious what's gonna happen in 3 months, which is gonna be a year since I've done the process. So I'm gonna do another update then about the process. But I think by then I'm not gonna call it anymore just breatharian process. It's just breatharian ascension thing. But anyways, at least for 1 year I'm gonna call it that, and then we'll see. Until then, well, I'm gonna make more videos, but until then, wherever you are in life and whatever you do, just, I don't know, keep going. And if you're interested in freedom, true freedom, well, doing the process is one of the things that you should do. And of course, work on yourself, because that's the main key. But yes, the body is a gateway, access gateway to the inner essence, to source inside of you. So I'll leave it with that, and see you next time. Bye. Ciao. You have, let's say, errors or unpleasant situations in your